guys doing? This is Joseph Ngugi from the Pre-PT Grind. We're going to be doing a live chat. Casey's going to be joining us here shortly. What's up, Casey? How you doing, brother?
What up? What up?
What's good, man?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Another Pre-PT chat, another week, another podcast episode. A lot of good things, And so I think we are up on the Pre-Doctor Physical Therapy Students page. If you guys want to share it out to other platforms that you guys think would be cool for people to hear this, whether it's other pre-PT pages and they allow that, don't, do it without permission of admins and stuff like that. Feel free to do that. But Casey, tonight's topic is going to be kind of fiery, huh? Honestly, man.
Yeah, when you sent it to me, I'm ready.
You're like, yeah, let's do it. All right, so what we're going to do is we have two main things. You guys see it in the description above that we're going to be talking about. But before that, we have an announcement. Before we give the announcement, I want to see how Casey's been doing with his rotation. Casey, how's that been going?
Oh, it's cool. I actually I went to the psych ward today in the hospital, and that was an interesting experience. It wasn't as crazy as like you see in the movies, but yeah. It was a psych ward, but
nonetheless, right?
So that was cool. It was different, but it was interesting. Other than that, same old.
I hear you, man. And I've just been, I was at Greg's clinic a little bit today and just been on calls, just trying to do a bunch of different things with Pre-PT Grind, as well as kind of growing as an individual and as a clinician. So what we talk about today actually kind of deals with some of the things that I experienced today, obviously things that Casey's experienced. And I think it's good things to keep in mind as a pre-physical therapy student, because I think we won't get into that, but I think let's start with this. I think sometimes we expect it to be a free ride to the top. And I think we do that by watching other people do it. And we're like, yo, man, Casey got there and it seemed pretty smooth for him. So it has to be that way for every single person. So we'll get into that. But first, our announcement. Casey, what's our announcement?
So the essays, most of you should hopefully be done with your essays or in the process of being done. It's getting that time. October is coming pretty soon. A couple deadlines have passed. Deadlines are coming up as well for other schools. So for essays, if you're not done already, you can still get them in. But we have reviewed about over 100 and some change essays so far. So because of our supply and because of the demand, the supply of our staff and the demand of the essays we're getting, there will be a charge now, $17 if you still need it, and you get unlimited essays due to us focusing our efforts into serving you better in different areas.
Yeah.
That's what's going to be happening. So if you haven't sent it in by now, you can still send it. Take care of that fee, then we'll take care of you unlimited times that you need. So get those in as soon as you can so you can get in before those deadlines.
Perfect. Yep. That's simple. And so topics for today. So y'all, if you guys saw that, it's in the podcast episode. You guys will hear that change at the beginning of each podcast episode. And as Casey said, it's because we want to keep serving you guys, but because of our manpower, we also have to we have some other projects that we think will be more beneficial to you guys in the long run. And so we're putting a lot of our efforts into those so that once we launch those projects, you guys are like, all right, these guys are really out to serve us to the best of their abilities. And that's all we want to do. All right. So first topic for tonight, how badly do you want it? Casey, how bad do you want it, man?
Yeah, what we talking about depends. How bad do I want, this dinner I'm about to eat? How bad do I want to sleep in the morning? How bad do I want a job? So it all depends. But in relation to PT school, right?
Yeah. How bad did you want it, man?
The second time around, I knew how bad I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I thought I knew how much I wanted it.
Yeah.
But in relation to this question, I think a lot of the people who have applied a second time or a third time, it's really an eye opener, a kick in the butt to get in the right direction. to when you see like, oh, what I did was not enough.
Yeah.
I thought I was good enough, but the competition was way better.
Yeah.
I got to step my game up. So how bad do you really want it really gets tested the second, the third time around, unless you're like really prepared and you're following people and you got everything set up.
Yeah.
I think for most people, you want it the first time just because it's like, oh, I can just slide into DPT school. I can get into grad school.
Yeah.
It's the next phase. I can't do nothing with this kinesis degree. I can't do anything with this exercise science, biology. So, you know, just fill out this little PT casting and I'll get in. Then I'll study. And even I'll jump ahead a little bit. Even in PT school, once you get in, for some people, they think they want it bad. If it's been an easy road, but once they get in there, their motivation declines or they can't keep up. They're like, I guess I don't want it. I don't want it bad enough.
Yeah, man.
Then they end up dropping out or going into some other field, and that's what happens. So you got to ask yourself, how bad do you want it?
And I think here's what it is, y'all. I don't think that there is, like, obviously, like, there is a game plan for how to get into physical therapy school, right? Obviously, there's the standard, get good grades, do your applications in time, do your hours. There's the script as to how it happens, right? But all of our stories are different. I have friends who were in the application process and then something happened in their families. And so that kind of threw everything off, like their focus, their grind, and everything. And so it delayed them a year or two or whatever. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, I mean, what Casey and I are talking about is how bad do you want it in the long run? And I think here's the thing. You can go through undergrad. You can finish your undergrad degree. You can get into physical therapy school. You can get out of physical therapy school and not want it bad enough. And you'll probably still realize it when you're in the field, because right now it's beyond trying to get into PT school. Yeah, like most of the time we're in here talking about how to get into PT school, little things you guys need to know. But at the end of the day, like, physical therapy is a service industry, right? So you guys have to be all in terms of everything you guys give to your communities, to your patients, whether it's virtually, because now we have telehealth, so you can be, on a phone call type thing. I mean, kind of like FaceTime, and it's HIPAA certified and whatnot. And you have that. You have the clinics, you have the hospital and whatnot. It's a service industry. But many times what happens is you either figure out that you either, don't get into PT school a few times and you're like, all right, I got to get my ish together. And so you go into grind mode and you're like, okay, do I really want it this bad? And if you want it this bad, and I know, let's see. Oh, so even Matt Hodgins there. So Matt was on a podcast with us, and he was talking about how it took him 3 times, 3 application processes, 3 application cycles before he was like, holy crap, like this is first of all a lot of money, right? Because per school that you apply for, that's money, right? Every school you kind of add on, to the max that's given or whatever, like that's more and more money. And so you're like, okay, so I applied and I didn't get accepted. I applied again, I didn't get accepted. So I got to figure something out. Problem is, we always look at the external stuff. We always look at the numbers. We always look at the fact that your GPA is low. You didn't get accepted the first 2 times, so you might as well give it up. It's probably not for you. But I think people kind of get it wrong. And I told this to one of our mentees for our one-on-one mentorship program that we do absolutely everything we can when we really want something. Right? Like when we really want something, like if you're a kid and you want something from the store and your mom says you have to do this, that, and the other, if you really want it, you're going to put in the effort. If your mom says you got to like raise your allowance in order to buy that toy for Christmas, you're going to really grind to get enough money to get that toy for Christmas. So it's really how bad do you want it? And so we're not saying this to kind of like be like overhype and over whatever. It's just that I think it's something important to think about, because I think we always look at the numbers. We always look at the process. What is the list? Okay, I'm trying to get into PT school for the next cycle. And so what are things I need to be doing right now on this list in order to be an applicable or a good candidate? I'm going to the open houses. I'm doing my application. I have like 600 plus observation hours, which is phenomenal because I had less than that. I have all these things that I've done, but my mindset's not there. So it really starts with what you want. How bad do you want it? Because everything else comes from there. And so how do you know how bad you want it? You have to know your why. So for some people, it's their story. Like how how they found physical therapy. It could be something personal where a family member was injured and so on and so forth. That's a common one. Or you personally got injured and so on and so forth. Or a family member has a chronic disease that, you know, a physical therapist really helped them over a span of a certain number of years. And you're like, I would love to do that for other people. Like, what is that why? What is that reason that keeps you pushing? But you have to know it, and you have to use that as your fuel. And so that when you guys are applying, I mean, Alyssa. So we brought Alyssa. What podcast episode was that, Casey? Was that like 15 or something like that?
16 or 17, something
16,
like that.
yeah. So she got, and it's public. It's on our podcast. Heck, like she got denied to 17 different schools. She puts it on her blog as well. And then she got accepted to her #1 school. And it's not because she's a bad student. Girl is a beast. She's a freaking beast. But when you listen to that podcast episode, if you guys have not, like if you guys listen to what kept her pushing, like I was so shocked. Like she wasn't fazed. She wasn't fazed by the 17. She was like, I know why I'm doing physical therapy. I know that I want it badly. I know it's because of this family member and so on and so forth. So regardless of how long it takes, regardless of how much work I have to put into it, I'm getting in. And she got in. Like she's about to graduate. She's in her last year of physical therapy school right now. So guys, as you guys are kind of setting the plane for everything, the application process, I mean, we're here to help as Pre-PT Grind with so many different details. Don't get me wrong. Like we're here to give you guys all the stuff we know, connect you with people that we know that would be of, you know, benefit to you guys as you guys are on your journey. That's our job. That's our purpose. That's our drive. But I think we would be doing you guys a disservice if we didn't remind you that there's a mindset that's underneath all of it. There's a drive that should be underneath all of it. So that as you guys are applying, as you guys are in PT school, that's what keeps you going. That's what keeps you. I mean, Casey and I were told when we were transitioning from undergrad to PT school, we were told in high school, it's like you're drinking out of a straw. In college, it's like you're drinking out of a hose. And in PT school, it's like you're drinking out of a fire hydrant. Right, Casey?
Yep, that's it.
And
that's
so
right.
The game keeps changing. But what's the underlying, you know, factor? What is setting you at the point where you want it so bad that it does not matter how many nights you have to stay up. It doesn't matter how much you have to reschedule. It doesn't matter how many parties you gotta, you know, like skip out on this year just so that you can be at the point where you're the most, where you're the best candidate that you can become based on, you know, kind of everything that you have. I mean, if your GPA has been lower, like, what are you doing now to get so that the point you apply, it's the best it can be? Or what are you doing to, I mean, we had a live one time where we were talking about like being well-rounded. So like LeBron James, right? He's a well-rounded basketball player. He can play, he's positionless. He can play every single position. So what are you adding on to your life? What are you working on outside of just the grades and whatnot to make yourself positionless, to make yourself valuable to PT programs? So they say, this kid has got it going. And we don't see this type of drive. We don't see this type of gift, this type of talent, this type of vision from anybody else. And so that's kind of the first thing that we kind of wanted to hit. You got to have some innate love to help because you don't know enough about the field yet as a pre-PT. Yep. Yeah, man. That has to be actual. And Melissa, let's see. That's what I'm doing now. I really want this. Try not to wear myself too thin. Yeah, I mean, don't wear yourself too thin. But I think reminding yourself as to why you're pushing towards the field, why you're pushing towards physical therapy. Like, why are you here? Why do you want to be a PT? Is it because you, I mean, like, and I'm not saying this to offend anybody. Is it because you were trying something else and it didn't work out, so PT was your backup plan? Like, that's real. And I'm not saying that to, like, discredit anything, but it's good to just be honest with yourself. Like, what is it? Like, is it because this was the one thing you wanted? Is it because you tried other things and you said, man, this doesn't fit my passion. This doesn't fit my model of service. This doesn't fit what I want to do for my community. Everything that actually makes me feel like I'm doing something good in this world. So I chose physical therapy. Like, what is that? And so I think it's not about wearing yourself thin. It's about identifying that and then saying, all right, nothing's stopping me. If I got to hit up Casey, if I got to hit up Joseph, if I got to hit up Matt, if I gotta hit up random people, if I gotta, like do this on the weekends, it doesn't matter because you're getting it. Like it's a decision to not fail almost. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the first thing.
We got some questions further up top. Tyler Slim,
Yeah.
he's still on. Did you get any interviews your first time around? No, I didn't. I only applied to one school, which was a mistake. I didn't get an interview because I was like right under the GPA level that they were taking interviews. So no to that my first time around. The second time around, I got interviews to all my schools. And I didn't even have to take the interviews because I got accepted to 2 schools
without
like right away.
Yeah.
Right. Trisha is asking, were both of us kinesiology majors? Yeah, it was health science.
Yeah, it was just a bachelor's of health science is what we did. But if I were to go back, I would have definitely considered being a kines. I just thought, and people have their own take on things. On this, but once I got into physical therapy school, second to anatomy, the class that I thought was super valuable my first year was kines, just understanding how it all came together. So anatomy was like all the puzzle pieces. Kines was the map that kind of showed you how everything came together. And so I think having that exposure personally, a little more so, would have been kind of cool. And I know other people feel differently about that, but that's more so a personal thing. All right, Casey, what's the second thing we want to hit today?
Basically working backwards, like whatever your goal is, working backwards or starting at the beginning where you have the goal in mind and making sure your steps to the goals match the goal you're trying to reach. So basically reverse engineering the final product. So if PT school is your final product, I'll give you an example from me. So when I didn't get in the first time, I had to take a step back and I started, I wallowed in my tears for like a week or so. Then I was like, okay, what do I have to do? What's the next step? The goal is PT school, but what do I do in 3 hours from now to help me get that goal into PT school? So I was like, okay, let me check my grades out. Am I really all that? Or was I, overestimating myself? Did I really make the cut? Or could I do better? So I had to check my grades. What classes do I have to retake? Make sure I was signed up for those classes. Make sure I can find a school close. So little steps like that. Then making sure I had enough money to pay for the class. If I didn't, wake up at 6 o'clock, go to work, get the money, pay for it, put it down. When I'm in the class, keep working to pay for the second anatomy course because there's 2 parts, 1 and 2. So take those, make sure I study properly to get the A. Then when I'm there, I look back a few months back, and it's like looking down from stairs or looking down from a ladder. It's like, oh crap, I'm halfway there, and I aced the anatomy class, so now my GPA is like a 3.57 instead of a 3.4 now. If I get an A in the next one, now my GPA is a 3.7 something and some change, along with some other things, classes. Then what else did I have to do? I had to make sure my PTCAS essay was better than last time. So what do I do? Where do I start? How do I structure the first paragraph? How do I structure the second one? So these little goals are really what basically bring you to where you want to be. So you got to take a step back, look at the staircase, look at the ladder, look at the mountain, whatever you want to call it, and make sure that everything's in line in order to reach where you want to go. It's simple stuff. It's simple stuff. But when you're looking at that huge goal, it's daunting. But if you take 2 steps, it's not so bad. I can do 2 steps today. I can do 5 steps tomorrow. So that's basically it. I'm keeping it simple. It's nothing crazy out here. It's putting in the work. It's grinding. It's not looking back. It's having the discipline, the motivation to keep going. Just the little things. And that's what PT schools are looking for, because that's what you got to do once you get in. It's nothing different. You're going to have a class and you're like, oh, or once you get in, you're like, oh, graduation is 3 years away. What do I do tomorrow? What do I do in a month from now? And it's the same thing. So instill those practices now. You'll be straight. You'll be a doctor. You'll be Dr. Joseph Ngugi in 3 years.
Hey, just like that, man.
So that's all it is. That's all it is.
I agree, man. And we're wrapping up now, but I got off a call today where we were talking about this very topic with another with another friend of mine who's kind of in the same process as you guys. And so the biggest thing was kind of how to take it from that big, like 3-year picture to saying, okay, how can I bring this down to today? How can I bring this down to this morning? How can I bring this down to a month from now and whatnot? So you say, I'm applying in 1 year. So what should I be doing 6 months from now? So I'm leveraging everything I can so that I can be ready for that 1 year. So you break it up by months. Then you say, okay. And I'm a visual person, so I usually take a whiteboard and actually write it down. I write down everything. I mean, ask Casey, even with our pre-PT grind meetings and stuff like that, I like to just write on a whiteboard because I think seeing it on the layout is pretty legit. But literally saying, okay, at the top, I want to be in PT school. Let's say you're 2 years out. Cool. Okay, so this is year 1, this is year 2, whatever. In there, literally write out the months. Write out each month and say, all right, for this month, this is what I want to accomplish. This is what I want to accomplish. Do I want to have my observation hours done by this date? Do I want to have my essay edited, in a year from now by this date? Do I want to start talking? And that will help you guys stay laid out, because what happens is we say, if you're like me, I look at the big picture sometimes, and I've changed the habits, but for the longest time, I would look at the big picture and think one of two things. Think, oh shoot, like this is ginormous. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to try to figure it out along the way and see what happens. Or it becomes so overwhelmingly huge that I feel like doing absolutely nothing about it. So I'm like, oh shoot, like I got to do all this stuff in the next 3 years. Let me just get to this weekend and just relax and not think about anything, right? And so that happens weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend. And then you get to your last year and you're like, oh, dang it. Now I got to do all this crap in 1 year. And it's stressful. And so why this helps is that, especially for people that get stressed, like I said, habits have changed, but I used to get stressed a lot. And so that's what I had to always break it down, write it out. If you are auditory, like take your phone out and record it. Do absolutely anything. Have someone hold you accountable and break it up. By the time you go to apply, you'll be like, man, I've been spending the last 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, 6 months preparing for this moment. I've done everything in my power to prepare for this moment so that the process is not overwhelming. The academic cycle, classes, and all that stuff, you're not wondering what to do, at the very end. You're figuring out along the way. And obviously you got pre-PT grind. You guys can ask us absolutely anything throughout that process. We can walk through the journey with you. But that's why literally finding what your goal is and knowing what it is, because we want you guys to accomplish your goals. We want you guys to actually obtain them. It's not about just talking big talk and getting you guys excited and then saying, all right, let's see if you guys potentially make it or whatever. Like, we want you guys to succeed. And so these are some of the things that actually tangibly help you map it out so that once you get to that point that you want to, like interviews, application, or whatever, like you've been preparing for that moment for so long that it's almost nothing to you. You're like, oh, cake. I already know what to expect. I already know what to do. And the stress is immensely reduced. So those are the two things we really want to talk about tonight. If you guys want us to hit anything, because we want to hit some harder topics every single week. Casey and I will be coming on here every single week, pre-PT chat. Like I said before, we had stopped for a few weeks because of a few things, but now we're back like every single dang week. And so if you guys want to hear difficult things, like y'all are having like some specific things that you guys want to hear about right now that you're dealing with, we will talk about them live. We will always answer your questions as well live. And so that's our service to y'all. We always appreciate
Speaking of that, we got one more.
What's up?
Melissa, I've heard that the app process is harder than actually going out and doing your observations and taking prereqs. What do you think? I think it's all in the same package. Yeah. I think it's just, the observation hours and the prereqs are a part of your application. Mm-hmm. I don't know if one is necessarily harder than the other. The PTCast application might be more tedious, but that's the only thing. I think it's all in the same.
Yeah. And it's really just kind of knowing how to navigate around it. Like when I was doing my PTCast, and the reason why we try to, obviously talk about PTCast and all that other stuff is because for myself, I had a friend that was in PT school at the time. And I was like hitting them up every 30 minutes, asking them questions about the application process and whatnot. And so hit us up, like contact us. We will be having something coming out in a few months that has all the things you guys need to kind of go through your pre-PT journey, including all the details to how that process goes. And I think once you understand how that goes about and how to go through step by step, it makes it that much easier. It's just kind of tedious in that it takes some time entering your classes and all the other stuff and sending all the things for, you know, people who are doing like your letters of recommendation and, you know, all that stuff. But once you know how to do it, it's not that stressful. And it's just about breaking it up, kind of like what we're talking about. So it's all together, like Casey said. So no need to stress about it, really. All right.
I think we got it.
All right, guys. For those of y'all that have not caught it, we had a podcast that came out today. Don't miss it. It's with my boy Jared Aguilar. And so he's the co-host of the Duck Legs podcast. Check them out as well. It's hilarious. We were laughing half the time we recorded it, which is good. We like to have fun on our podcast, but listen to it. He has some great stuff to offer to y'all that you guys will value. And you guys can see it in a post on the Pre-Doctor Physical or on our Pre-PT Grind page that was there earlier. Click on that or iTunes or whatever. Listen to all of our episodes. If you have not listened to them yet, they're free. And then we'll go from there. So see you guys next time. It's been a pleasure. Blessings.